Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
This time I have other parks in the community that may be needing further discussion, as well as I know some folks have approached me saying, why can't we have more small neighborhood parks, tot parks, playground structure parks, those sorts of things that aren't necessarily reflected in the discussion of use of playing fields. So certainly, like I said, I know I have received, not a lot, but some feedback saying, why can't there be more discussion around parks? And I certainly don't believe, per the presentations of the residents in the area that were concerned about McGuire Lake with previous discussions in the year, that they would warrant or that they would welcome a discussion in the context of playing fields as having the sort of dominant focus on parks issue.
Councilor Cannon.
Two questions. One is, who is on this Parks Committee that hasn't met, but it does exist? Because I'm not quite sure of that either. Maybe the administrator could tell me who's on that. And the other thing is, I know on the Environmental Management Committee, I have someone from the Greenways who, that's a specific park with our different walkways and stuff. So we have that group represented on the environmental management, but taking into the whole area, the playing fields, as well as all of the parks, I guess perhaps a parks committee, is a good thing to have, especially if we're going to work with writing McGuire Lake into our plan, because it doesn't exist in there right now.
Your Worship, there were a number of people, it's so long ago I can't remember all of them, but June Stewart is the chairperson. I believe Councillor Harrison is the council representative. Jeff Abbott is another person who was on it. Just can't recall the others.
So has this met, this group, since you've been on council, Councillor Harrison?
Great, thank you. We have not met, actually, and in consultation with the administrator, we've had some discussions, and our thought was, until there was a reason to meet, we wouldn't. I guess I'm still unclear about what the reason might be, but certainly we're willing to. I guess what I'd like to see is there seems to be quite an overlap of committee, especially in this particular area. So maybe that's a discussion we need to have as a group of councillors. What would be the job, and how could we make sure we don't overlap as far as parks go?
Go ahead.
So back to the McGuire Lake Park, is staff going to look into incorporating that into our parks, having it included in our plan, for lack of a better word? Is that something that staff is going to do? Or?
Yes.
That was my understanding, but I just wanted to confirm that it's staff that's going to look at doing that, and that it doesn't have to go to another committee and then go back to staff. Because that was my understanding when that whole issue came forward.
Give it Councilor Campbell.
Well, I was on that committee, I know, about 3-4 years ago, and it really was for bikeways and pathways and getting that plan into place. So if somebody can show me a real good reason why we should have one again, but I just honestly think that it could be put into other committees, just redefined. So.
Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Worship. I'm not sure there is overlap, there's no doubt about it, but I think that public hearing we just had that went for 4 hours, where out of 34 people that spoke, probably 15 felt that Jackson should be a park. If we had a proper parks plan, and we said that in our parks plan we hope to eventually turn in the public works yard into another soccer field with a running track around it, and that would be a 5 to 15 year time frame. And we said that the agricultural lands that are in the donut hole might come out of the agricultural land, and we might hope to have part of that be an endowment land with a park and jogging trails throughout it, like the UBC has. I think that, I don't know if it needs to be a new committee, I don't know if it needs to be a sub of the Recreation Society, but there's no doubt it overlaps into a lot of areas. And I think that it's time that we did. reinstituted and start talking about some long-term planning with regards to those issues, because otherwise what's going to happen is that there's going to be a group like the skateboard group that says we need a new facility, and then that becomes a priority. And I still think overall with our recreation green space, we don't know what our priorities are, and we haven't really got a plan, and it's done piece by piece. That's part of the problem, is we don't have a committee looking at those plans. I think part of the neighborhood input that might come out of what Smart Growth is going to do is going to give us some ideas towards that, but I think it should either be taken out of the book, if it's not a committee that hasn't met in 4 years that I can remember, or it should be redesigned to be the right kind of committee.
Seems like we're getting into a topic that could possibly take up a lot of time, and perhaps this would be a good topic maybe for our next development and planning meeting.
Or our retreat this fall.
Or our retreat. Councillor Exant.
I just wanted to finish because I had noted that Parks Committee Advisory Committee is being listed in last year's annual report, and I kind of was curious about it. And of course, the other thing I wanted to note is that members of that committee indicate that it is comprised of 3 members of council, and I know that Councillor Harrison is currently the only member technically appointed to it. So certainly, I think that needs to be addressed. And per Councillor Kentel's question of, is there a good reason to? I think certainly this discussion alone has outlined there's enough questions raised. And in terms of things like, even if our existing parks plan has items listed in, like greenways, bike trails and stuff, I know between Councillor Eliasson's push for those types of items that certainly there seems to be grounds to at least be having this discussion regularly to make sure that we're on track per Councillor Flynn's comments of are we prioritizing correctly. So again, the thing is, it was in the annual report.
In about the about 1994, I think, and ROSE stands for Recreation and Open Space. It's a very detailed study. It's probably about 500 pages and has much of the information that people are talking about here. The unfortunate part was that most of the recommendations of the ROSE study cost a lot of money, and as a result, the study has sat there for the most part. Certainly, I'm willing to take direction from council if we would like to resurrect that. I think probably before doing that, we should take the time to read the study, and then perhaps we can discuss it some more.
Administrator, maybe you can put that on the agenda for, not for the next meeting, but the one after that, so 3-4 weeks.
And we've got to vote on this motion, Your Worship.
Yeah. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next we have an item for information from the Director of Corporate